virtual world, but sometimes things happen. So if you haven't been to one of these ICONversations before, it's a great opportunity to pick the brains of some ICON agents. We come from all over the country. We come from all different levels of experience and backgrounds, and everyone has a story to tell. Some are team leaders, some are individual agents, and it's just great to pick everyone's brains. So I'm going to go off the list of questions. Looks like our moderators, either running late or not going to make it, and well, I'm not shy, I guess. So we're just going to dump in right here. With me, hold on one second. I got to get to a different view here, guys. I've got Tim. Hold on. All right, Tim. I'm probably going to butcher your name. It's Feibig, is it?
It's Feibig.
And if you don't mind introducing yourself to the group and just telling us a little bit about your background.
You bet.
And where you work.
Tim Feibig, East Bay of the San Francisco area, California. I've been selling and running a brokerage before for the last 40 years. I'm now a very small team, just me and a licensed associate and four assistants. And that's what we do. Sell as much real estate as we can. A lot of listings, a lot of buyer sales.
Love it. Okay, and just so you know, Tim, your audio, for me at least, has a little bit of background, a little hard to hear you. Dave Jadinsky, did I butcher your name? Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your background.
Yeah, and I've heard that name pronounced many times, so I actually changed my real estate team to the Dave Z home team, because everyone can say Dave Z, but it's Jadinsky. I'm really excited to be here. I love doing these. I always take a lot away. I've been doing this 18 years. And every time I'm up here, I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with Tim a few times, and I'm always taking away nuggets. So everybody in the audience, take some good notes, ask some great questions. But like I said, it's my 18th year, 4th year at EXP. I've got a team of 4 agents, 2 salaried agents, admin, and out in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Awesome. Okay. A very good idea on the name there. Your last name probably gets butchered a lot, and I think that's a great way to brand yourself. So my name is Chuck Golub. I'm an ICON agent. This is my 2nd year of ICON, and I've been with EXP since 2019. I've been in real estate about 6 years. I run a team of approximately 10 agents. We cover the Minneapolis area of Minnesota, Western Wisconsin, and Southwest Florida. So that's my background. I'm going to jump into some of the questions here, and we'll throw it around. And please, guys, if you're in the audience, you have questions, please feel free to jump in on the chat. Raise your hand. We'll try to get to you, and we will have some questions at the end so people can ask away. There's always some good conversations that come out of that. So, Tim, I'm going to start with you. To what do you contribute your ICON success? How did you do this, and how long did it take you to reach this level of production?
I would say consistency. So I've always been a top producing agent, with the exception of when I built a large brokerage company. And it's just consistency. And probably half my business comes from past clients, sphere of influence. So I'm always paying attention to the people I know. I kind of failed at that early in my career, so I've only really been focusing on that diligently for about the last 10 years or so. But I mean, it produces, half of 60, I do about $60 million worth of business last year, and about half of it was past clients and sphere, which is so easy because they call you up, hey, come list 3 homes, hey, come list a home, hey, so it's, if you're not really focusing on that, I would do that. Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tim. And for anyone sitting in the audience, I bring in a lot of new agents, and I like to tell them, Tim, if you don't mind muting too, because it sounds like you're moving there in the background. I'll get you going again here. There you go. Perfect. So for those of you new in the audience that haven't got a bunch of business yet, start out by using all the great tools we offer here at EXP, and then make sure you're promoting yourself as much as you can on social media, and your business will grow. I always say that year 3 is year of the sphere, and that's where stuff like Tim just, people start calling you and saying, you know what, I think you really are a good, and I would love to use you to sell my house. Can you tell me about that? So really leverage that sphere, and I love that you touched on that, Tim. Dave, how about you? To what do you contribute your success? How do you do this, and how long did it take you to reach this level of production?
So I would tell anybody there's really 4 areas that I look at because I'm in agent attraction and building and running my team. And so these, think of it as four tires on a car. You need leads and opportunities.
Is anyone talking? I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me, Charles?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Okay. So we need leads and opportunities. We need systems. And then Tim touched on it. We need persistency and consistency. And if somebody will get those 4 things right, they can do anything that they want. And so if I'm meeting with an agent or looking back on my career, where are those 4 things do I need to work on? And if you don't have the persistency and consistency, it's really been hard to get going. And then the rest you need to figure out. You need to find how you're going to lead gen, and then we can spend 10 days talking about lead gen, and then systems. But if I take a brand new agent into the business, I want to make sure we're monitoring those 4 tires in the car. One blows out, you're in trouble. You're going to know it right away. So for me, I got going about 6 months into my real estate career because I really developed good systems. I got onto online advertising very, very early. I'm 44, so I was 26 when I started real estate, and I just went right into technology. And I specialized in a niche, and I advertised in that niche. And within 6 months, I had 40 listings on the market because I developed a spot in the marketplace where I was very visible, and I was consistent because I had ads running. So however you want to do it, I would just have that lens of those 4, where are you on those 4 things? And if you're following up every once in a while, if you're calling people every once in a while, you're just going to get those every once in a while results. So as Tim said, you need consistency and persistency right out of the gates.
I think those are great points, and thank you for sharing those. I think that a lot of new agents forget how important it is to do exactly what you just said, have consistency. And one of the best ways to do it is time blocking. And I think so many agents just don't do it. I'll figure it out. I'll throw it. Each day is different. I'm going to make my own schedule, all the promises we made ourselves when we got into real estate. And it's a lot more challenging than that. If you can time block and make sure that you're doing the same things every day, and leaving some dynamic parts in your calendar so you can leverage your clients, that's the way to do it. Just briefly, I'll touch on this because there's only 3 of us. I contribute my icon success to really my team. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. So I got very busy pretty quickly in real estate, and I needed to have people help me. So for me, delegating leads and growing the team so that they are doing most of the business, and I'm essentially kind of an HR manager at this point, that has really helped me. So making sure you have good people with you, good people under you, and good admin. And that's going to lead us into our next question, actually. So Tim, tell us, how do you delegate and what do you delegate?
My goal is to delegate everything that I hate doing and just concentrate on what I like to do, which is mostly just meet with clients. So I have someone who does my marketing and admin. I have someone a different assistant that concentrates on social media and projects that, take longer periods of time. I have a personal assistant that controls my personal life and my business life, make sure the appointments are, remind me what I got to do, make sure everything's lined up, and just kind of run my life personally and business. And then I have, like probably most people, transaction coordinator and a marketing person as well. So I delegate everything except for what I love to do.
I love that. That's a great point. Basically, anything that you don't like doing, delegate away. And also, I'll add to that, anything that someone else can do, delegate it away. I think that's great. How about you, Dave? How do you delegate? What do you delegate?
Yeah, Tim said a lot of the right stuff. And so if anybody asks me, hey, I'm ready for an assistant, write down your day for a week. Like, just spend this week writing down every single thing that you do. What don't you like to do? And can you give that to somebody? What do you like to do? Can you do more of that? And so that's a starting point. If you don't know if you need an assistant, just write all these things down and you go, gosh, if I wasn't doing my listing prep work, my transaction coordinating, what could I be doing? What makes me come alive? And then go do what makes you come alive. And I think Tim has really found that, and you can see his success because of that. So we use virtual assistants. We've got an assistant, a director of operations. We've got, and then we take leverage in delegation to a different level on our team that is I took from somebody else's team, but we have salaried realtors that then do showings for our agents on our team. So we now outsource showings so our buyer's agents can just do consultations and contracts. But our buyer's agents don't go to houses because our showing partners, so we delegate it to that level. And more like a dentist office where you come in, you expect to see a lot of people in the dentist office and not just one person. So that's how we like to do it.
I love it. Yeah, and when you talk about having a team, I mean, having different roles within the team where everyone carries some level of weight and they get compensated kind of to what their tasks are or what their weight they're pulling. I think that's great.
Yeah, and then I'll add something to that really quick. One of the books that helped me the most when I became a leader, when I ran a team, was Who Not How by Dan Kennedy. And if you find yourself asking, how do I do this? How do I run pay-per-click ads? Just replace that with who. Who do I know that's running or who is doing that? And you'll find that, especially with EXP, with how connected this community is, it's such a gift. I'll tell everybody, if you hear something on one of this talks, reach out to me. I know if you reach out to Tim or you guys, I've answered a lot of questions off of these talks because we're a very generous company. So if somebody says, well, geez, I don't know how to run pay-per-click ads, but Dave does, I might give you a who. So I'm a big believer in finding who's and then letting them do it and not micromanaging. I think we can, especially agents here who want to expand their business, it can be really hard to let go. But once you find a who, just give it to them. So that's something I just wanted to add.
That's a great point too, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody in the group, Tim as well. But if any of you in the audience have questions after, make sure you're jotting down our names so you can find us in Workplace, ask us questions to follow up. This company is built on collaboration, and I've never worked for a company that is so generous between the employees, how we work together, how you can have any question answered in 2 minutes on Workplace. So reach out to us if you have questions about anything we're talking about. In terms of my delegation, I don't know if anyone read the article recently. I think it was Inman that mentioned that keeping an assistant in real estate is really tough right now. The economy has definitely turned, and the pandemic shifted priorities. So it is a tough job. And what I've been doing, I used to have a brick and mortar office, even with EXP, and I had a real live human being as my assistant. And I had a backup that was a virtual assistant. And when my real life assistant left, I transitioned to a full-time virtual assistant, and I use that person for everything. And then I also leverage people on the team for their skill sets and things they can help us out with. But I agree, and I think it was Dave that said, he delegates what he doesn't like doing. Well, there are some things that only we as team leaders or realtors can do. And transaction coordination is obviously the very first thing you can dump and get to someone. And there's plenty of resources, even within EXP, for that as well. So transitioning a little bit, Tim, I touched a little bit on time blocking, but what does your daily schedule look like, and do you time block?
Yes, I time block. I have a daily routine in the morning that I follow consistently. Then it's set up with appointments throughout the day. I'll meet with my assistants at special, certain days, like the one that comes in and personally works for me. We talk daily and delegate tasks and that sort of thing. The others I meet with twice a week. So I'm just out with clients. And when I'm in the office, my emails narrow down from, 120 emails to like 10 I have to look at, or, I try to keep the paperwork and the office work to a minimum.
That's great. So and then a follow-up question. Have you always time blocked? And did you notice any differences once you started time blocking?
Absolutely. In the more, I mean, we just get lost. We'll get up, we'll get on the email, we'll start like, oh, this and that, and it's like a little dog choke chain. One email just jerks you totally off your day, and pretty soon 30 minutes goes by because you're doing something that the email said. Where that's some of that is important, but it can be handled maybe twice a day versus consistently all day long. So first thing in the morning, you should do what you probably don't like the most and make that unpleasant phone call, regarding an escrow or a listing or price reduction, and or then do lead follow-up and, call the people that are A and B leads and stay in touch with them, and then touch on your sphere of influence and past clients. And if you follow a morning routine, by the time 11 o'clock comes by, around, and then you start maybe do a 30-minute email search, you can look back and think, wow, what a productive day. Man, I got 3 leads, I got stuff done, I got a price reduction, or, or whatever it may take. So time blocking is so critical.
Absolutely. And to your point, I just put something in the chat for everyone. There's a thing, if you happen to use Gmail, there's a thing called Boomerang, and I'm sure a lot of the other email services use it. But with Boomerang, you can set up cool templates. And for me, it's really critical that I set up times where my emails are not coming through. Even just now, if you heard my mic cut out, because my phone is connected to the same speaker. So I put my phone on work focus, where it will not get through. You can't call me, you can't text me unless you're my wife or my kids. It's only getting through if it's an emergency. So that's another way to time block, is eliminate those necessary distractions that are not actually in your calendar, kind of to Tim's point. How about you, Dave? Do you time block? What does your daily schedule look like? Have you always time blocked, and what did it do for your life if you started at some point?
Yeah, so I'm probably the exception to the rule. I don't time block, and I see the value in doing it. And this is the beauty of what we do, is we really can do what we want to do, right? I think most of us got into real estate to be our own boss. So, my background, I've got 5 children from 13 to 5. And so I've been doing real estate with a lot of little kids, and I've really enjoyed the spontaneity of what I've been able to create. And so do I have routines? Yep, I have my morning routine. And so I do it not as rigid as probably a time block. Now, I have all of my meetings in there, all of my one-on-ones with my realtors and my EXP, my rev share people, everybody. So I have a lot of meetings that kind of do my time block. And then I'm a big fan of the Eisenhower matrix. If people aren't familiar with it, Google the Eisenhower matrix. What's important, what's urgent, and what's not important, what's not urgent. Anybody that sees my phone, they're like, what's that 231,263 logo on your Gmail? I'm like, oh, I have 232,000 unread emails. And that's my Eisenhower matrix has been, I don't touch that. I don't get into my email unless somebody calls me and says, hey, you got an email that you need to go look at. It's just one way I've been able to avoid, and maybe the Boomerang would be easier, but my VA will go in there and say, there's a critical email you got to respond to, but I don't even take the time to delete it. And I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not saying to do that, but for me, it's allowed me, as a solo agent, to sell 60 homes a year while raising children with my wife. And it just, I've ignored some of those things that I think some people pay more attention to, that they think they're working. But I just got really focused on what I needed to do and did it. And then I'm not opposed to time blocking, but I was at the gym at 10 o'clock last night instead of in the morning, because I do let maybe the tail wag the dog a little bit more, but those are usually my kids that are letting me do that. So that's what I've chosen to do, and it's been fantastic. So has it limited my career? Maybe, but I'm okay with that, with what it's allowed me in that spontaneity.
You're actually part of the mantra that we all say at the beginning. You can be your own boss. You can make it work. And sometimes you can. There are different ways to do this job. I'm just curious, in the audience, how many of you have less than 1 year of experience? Raise your hand. I just want to take a quick count. Everyone's looking for where's the raise hand button. Great. Whole bunch of you. Just a whole bunch of you. Love it, love it, love it. People are figuring out how to raise their hand. But I give yourselves a hand for coming to an iConversation and bettering your career and learning from some people that have done this before. I just love that. It's good to know the level of experience with everyone here. So awesome. You guys can put your hands down. Otherwise, I'll think you have a question. So let's start with you, Tim. What would you say that your secret sauce is?
I think it goes back to consistency. And, I can remember back when I was a new agent all the way through all the years later, I'm always marketing. So, I have half my business come from past clients and sphere of influence, but the other half comes from a couple different areas. And one of them is just the consistency in the marketplace that, every month I'm sending something out to my, 7,000 home farm. So they get a market report from me, or they get a combo sales card or something like that. If they go to a past client sphere of influence, then there's a different drip system that I use. But I think it's just consistency and being in front of people and giving them quality things that they want to read or look at, and using call to actions, causing them to want to call. Back to that word, consistency.
Yeah, that's great stuff. You guys are hopefully hearing the theme: consistency, consistency, consistency. Whatever that looks like. Dave's consistency and Tim's consistency and my consistency, well, they're not consistent. But the point is we have consistency for ourselves, and staying on a schedule of some sort and doing the things that bring you success over and over are great. How about you, Dave? What is your secret sauce?
Yeah, and I think this plays into where my schedule was able to go, because when I got into real estate, like I said, I was 26. I wanted to take an approach that was more business and marketing centered, and I was on my way to med school. So I left college, I was going to go to med school, and dropped out of that. I said, what would I do if I wanted to be in that profession? What would my business model look like? And I decided I think it would look different than a lot of how realtors go about it. So I started with money, investing money into my systems. And so my secret sauce was, like I said, able to generate 40 listings. I did nothing my first 3 months. I was going broke. I was going, what the heck is happening here? This is hard, but they were working. And then by my 6 months, all of a sudden, 6 months in, 40 listings. And I had someone knock on my door. They go, you have 40 listings. I've been doing this a long time. And to me, I was like, well, I'm putting it in and it's working. So I developed my systems really early on. Websites, built what I call my mouse traps with my cheese in there, and just got my phone to ring. And then what I found was, being in real estate for 6 months, when your phone is ringing off the hook, you don't really need the time block, because your phone just rings and it rings. And I know that just sounds like a dream come true as a realtor, just to get your phone to ring, but you can do it if you build the right systems and you get people calling you. And really, that's probably why I never developed some of the habits, because I didn't really have to grind, because I built my business model that way. And that's 18 years later, that still continues, where my business is mostly inbound calls because of what we're running. And that's just, now that takes a lot of capital, and you got to know the math and know your conversion. And so that's what I got really good at, is the funnel system, top of the funnel, middle, bottom, and managing all stages of that to make sure that I can get the return that I need. And that's how I prefer to run the business, with some high predictability and not chasing. I just didn't want to get into the business and start calling everybody. I didn't tell people I was a realtor for years. I didn't go out and do that traditional, hey, I'm a realtor. I just started running my advertisements and working with strangers. But that worked well for me. And so that was my secret sauce.
I love it. And I think if we gave DISC tests, I hope most of you are familiar with the DISC personality profile. I'm guessing you'd end up pretty high on D, pretty high on I, and really high on S and C. And it is proof that there is a place for everyone in real estate. If most of you took a DISC test, I'd be willing to bet most of you were high in D and I, meaning you're super high in you've got a short attention span, you're highly driven. And I think what Dave did is point out that being consistent and you've heard that word from me 100,000 times, but being consistent and sticking with it. Because like he said, he didn't do any business for 3 months. I didn't do any business for 6 months. And I think that's the path of a realtor. And if you stay with it, that will eventually pay off. I think realtors don't understand. Get that traction, get it going, because when your tires hit the road and actually get traction, you are off to the races. But so many realtors quit after a month or two of trying something. And I think that's my secret sauce too, to answer that question. I think that I'm consistent, and I know that if I put the time into it and know that I need to have something run for like a year, whether it's an advertising campaign or a new marketing strategy or a new program within our team, it has to go for a year before I can safely evaluate it. Don't give up. That's the big theme. Okay, I'm blabbing. So, Tim, tell us, how much time do you spend in lead gen? What portion of your budget is lead generation? And also, what portion is marketing and advertising?
Lead gen, it's back to, I do my marketing, my market newsletter monthly. I do the postcards quarterly. I'm doing social media, which I don't really get a lot of business from. I get, most of my marketing dollars comes from mail. So as far as lead follow-up, I only follow up on, like really strong A's and some B's. If they're like B minus or C leads, I don't bother. I just, it's kind of like next, I just don't have time. I just need to concentrate on the people that are serious. So I don't spend a lot of time on follow-up, probably 30 minutes, 3 times a week. And the marketing is all, I write some stuff that goes in my market report, but that's all delegated out too. So, I spend about 15 minutes on that monthly and delegate it to my marketing person, and then she sends it over to the mail house. So keep it simple. That's what I do. I'm out with clients as much as I can be, belly to belly. I learned that with Dale Carnegie, my first sales training class, like 35 years ago. That's it.
I love it. 35 years ago. Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Dave? How much time do you spend in lead gen? What portion of your budget is lead gen? Do you do any, and what portion is marketing and what portion is advertising?
So as far as portions, I keep about 8% of my GCI. We did about 2 million, so about 8% of my GCI towards new business. And then we spend about 4% towards retargeting, remarketing. So we do a lot of retargeting once people are in our systems. They're going to get a lot from us online, emails. And then I don't like, I'm kind of like Tim, I don't like lead gen, which probably why I built the business the way I did. So I have inside sales agents that are going to call and nurture, and I only want appointments. Now, was that how it was a long time ago? No, but I kind of developed that. Like I said, I got inbound calls. So my time is spent in meetings with people, and then just following up with the people that, like Tim said, are ready to go. So the way we run our system, if I get an appointment and they're not 30 days to transact, they go back to the ISA and let them nurture and stay in touch with it. And here, one point I'll make when we start getting into delegation, I struggled with this, and maybe other people do. It feels like maybe we're dumping stuff on people that we don't like. But that book, Who Not How, you'll be amazed that there are things that people love to do that you go, why the heck do you love to do that? But when we tell the world, and we don't say, I don't like follow-up, but we tell the world, I'm looking for somebody who loves to follow up with leads, who wants to be on the phones all day long and stay in an office. It's amazing how many people raise their hand. They go, that's what I was built for. That's who I am. And so now we're blessing people to be in the role that they want to be in. And we're doing things we don't want to do. And I think for me, I had this negative connotation of like, oh, I'm making somebody do something I don't like. Well, they like it. They're not you. So, but I will tell for the people in the audience, for what I teach, if I'm taking a new agent, is kind of a 4x4 system every day. So talk to 4 new people today that are either new leads in your database. Don't try to talk to, actually have 4 conversations, and then have 4 conversations with people that you are working with, that you need to follow up with to get them closer. And then 4 social media reach outs. And then 4 people that are in your CRM. So that's kind of like, try to get 4 new people, 4 people in your CRM, and then 4 people that you need to talk to. And just, if we run that 4x4 every day, agents are going to hit their goals. But it's every day. It's not Mondays and Thursdays. It's 5 days a week. So I like the 4x4 strategy.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'll cover this a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about the next question because they kind of meld together, and then I'll kick it back to these guys. But so my background is 25 years of law enforcement, and then 5 years as an idiot stand-up comedian traveling the country telling jokes. So I am not afraid to do lead gen. Trust me, I've had more doors slammed in my face, more things thrown at me, both on stage and in law enforcement. I'm not afraid of lead gen. I am a strong believer that if you make 100 calls, you're going to get 1 to 3 yeses. So every call I make where they hang up on me, I figured that's 1 closer to the yes. And I love that. So in terms of advertising, again, I run a team. There's about 10 of us, and I spend a lot of money on Realtor.com as a lead gen source. And I always tell the agents that this is just a beginning point for them. They need to build their business and show how effective they are as real estate agents, and then the sphere business will come, which pays them better and is, as both Dave and Tim have said, it's a better way to do business. But so I spend about $15,000 a month on lead gen, just for Realtor.com, and then I also have an ISA that I contract with, and I don't know, it's probably $3,000 a month. So it eats up a lot of my budget, and I plan on, as the team gets better and better at real estate, kind of transitioning away from some of this lead gen stuff. Once the team is a little more self-sufficient. So there is a bit of a plan in mind here. But yeah, I have a pretty significant overhead, which cuts into things. And it's great if you can run your business like Dave and not really have to spend a lot of money on that stuff. And I track my business. There's a whole bunch of programs out there. There's CSU and there's CTE. CSU does not integrate with KV Core. So I use a thing called CTE. It's very cheap each month. I make all of the agents input a daily log on their lead gen, and we can track in a funnel where the gaps are and how they're struggling. So I'm going to kick it over to Tim. Do you use any kind of tracking software, anything like CSU or CTE?
No, I have a bookkeeper that comes in monthly, and he does spreadsheets, so he'll list my income and list where my income comes from. As far as drilling down toward calls or leads or that sort of thing, we don't track that much like you do. It sounds like we use KV Core and we drip on them. I have an ISA. I have a virtual assistant too that just does the KV Core and social media. So we're doing the drips as far as emails and texts. And then my one licensed associate's really good at follow up too. She follows up. She's speaks Chinese, so she also has influence in that market as well. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely it did. How about you, Dave? How do you track your business?
Yeah, for me, obviously, hearing how my business is set up, it's extremely important. So if anybody in the audience is looking for a good book on systems, maybe you guys can, reiterate this, or 4 Disciplines of Execution was a great book for me. And that really helped me understand how to keep score and why to keep score. And the great analogy is if you're sitting in a football game and there's no scoreboard, you kind of become disinterested. You're like, did that pass matter? Was that even a first down? I don't even know. There's no data for me to know if it even matters. Like, how far behind are you? Like, is it? So we know when we watch the Super Bowl and there's 2 minutes to go and they're down by 3, you're vested in it. So having a great scoreboard, I think, is crucial. At least however you want to do it. I used CTE for like a decade. I did switch to CSU once the team got bigger and we really wanted to drill down more. And it is great, but it can be really grinding on agents to KPI them. Like, here's your key performance indicators. We got to go through this funnel and this funnel. But it is necessary when you're spending money on lead generation that is a conversion game, where Tim really has a business that is, you're farming 7,000 people and you're just in front of people. I don't think it's nearly as necessary when you're spending money at Realtor.com and so on. You've got to really maximize every penny for that lead gen. But I love those. I think CTE is great until you get to a point where you really want to spend the money on CSU and you need it. But you should track your numbers so you know how much time is left in the game and what the score is.
Absolutely. I love that analogy. And for people who are asking, the book title is in the chat. But yeah, it's a really good way to look at it. You have to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, why are we playing this game? I love that analogy. That's great. So, and as I mentioned, I use CTE, and that's how I keep my agents accountable to an extent.
Chuck, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
CTE, and when you're, following that up and keeping track of the buyer agents, and you're using Realtor.com, how does that all work for you? I mean, you spend a lot of money on lead generation, which is great. You have to keep your buyer agents happy with leads for sure. But how's that convert? I mean, have you driven the percentage up by keeping track, keeping them accountable, and training them to do it?
Yeah, oops, I think you cut out, unless it was my mic, but we have quarterly conversations on this, and we honestly, our conversion rate is much lower than I want, and certainly for some of my co-marketing lenders is lower than I want. But we have regular conversations, and when I find agents aren't doing lead gen at all, or they aren't converting anything, they can get their leads turned down or turned off. So there is kind of a negative motivation. There's certainly a positive motivation in that they know if they are the people that are converting things, they're going to get more leads. I would say we're probably about 2.5 times ROI on Realtor.com, which I actually think is really low, but we get a lot of these bonus leads from them that are, harder work, and they're fairly cold leads. And again, I'm envious of both Dave and Tim, because they don't really rely on leads. But as a team leader, to keep my agents motivated, you have to give them something. You have to show some value beyond the training and the culture. Frankly, young agents want leads. Hopefully that answers your question. Great questions. I don't know, to answer a couple questions in the chat, I don't remember what CTE stands for, but someone put the link in there, and I was very happy with them. I think CSU actually is a better product. I just didn't like that it was a lot more expensive, and some of the linkages didn't work so well. So I hope that helps as well. Great questions, Tim. And let's see. So what are you doing differently this year that you did last year to improve your numbers, Tim?
What am I doing? I'm going to expand my farm probably a little bit larger. So I'm going to probably go from 7 to 10,000. My goal is probably to get even larger than that. So pretty much that. I'm pretty happy with my production. I'm pretty happy with everything that's, rolling along the way it is. So, I'm going to tweak it a little, but just kind of leave it alone. And also another book for systems is great, is the E-Myth, like E for entrepreneur, the E-Myth. That's a great book for systems.
Did you say E-Map?
The E-Myth, M-Y-T.
Oh, E-Myth. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll put it in the chat, guys. I know a lot of great discussion in the chat. People are asking a lot of questions, so I'll put that in there as well. How about you, Dave? What are you doing that's different this year?
So we do lead gen. Just I said it was 8%, but that equates to about 180,000. So that's my budget's about 15 grand a month for marketing, but I want to keep it at around that 8%. But what we're doing differently, markedly differently, is we are speaking to our audience about buying before they sell. So we're out in Scottsdale. I don't know where, everybody's in different markets, but here in Scottsdale, we're dominated by the Zillow's, Open Door, OfferPads, the iBuyers. About a third of our sales go to iBuyers. And so there's an appetite for our consumer to say, give me cash for my home, give me some certainty. So we've got programs where we can come out and say, all right, you want to move? Let's do one transaction. Let's guarantee the sale of your home, and let's go guarantee the buy of your next home, and then let's have you close escrow on Friday on that new place, and then close escrow or close Wednesday on your home, stay in it, and close Friday. And that has really been a big change for us. And we've partnered with some companies who have the capital to where we really just sit in front of people and say, you can be a cash buyer and you'll get a mortgage the day after you close, and we're going to give you a cash sale on your home. But then so what I'll do is we'll close on that home on Wednesday. They move into their home on Friday. I then do carpet, paint, light staging, put it back on the market, and then they keep all the money afterwards. And that really is the message that's winning. Like I tell people, it's like an analogy of taking your car into the dealership, driving out with the new car, and then a month later they send you a check for the money that they got when they sold it to the new party. You get all that money. And so I believe real estate is going to move in that direction because it should. It's a much better transaction. And there's good companies out there that are trying to figure out how to make this better, how to make the experience more better. So we've been a partner of Realtor.com, Zillow, HomeLight, all of these companies for a long time. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, you're in bed with the enemy. But what I have found is the thinking in these companies is such a high level. It really is. When I got to really get deep with Zillow, I got to meet their two owners who started Expedia. These are brilliant thinkers, and they actually want to create a better experience, and they actually want to increase the volume of transactions that people can do. So I'm okay with, and I know I'm kind of going on a rabbit trail here, but I'm okay with commission compression if I can help you buy 13 homes instead of 4. And that's what Zillow's vision is. Like, how do we make this easier? How do we make it better? How do we make it cheaper? Because younger people do want to move more often. But right now it's so scary to move because the market's crazy. How do I get into this home? So I think somebody asked in the chat how you do it. I've partnered with a company called HomeLight where they'll give us the cash. If you Google, cash for home buyers, there's about 6 or 7 companies out there that will front the money and then they end up getting a mortgage with them. So if somebody's getting a mortgage, at some point that lender's got to wire that money. All these companies do is they wire it 2 days early, closes as cash, and then after close it converts to a mortgage. So but I needed to do that because my market wants it. Scottsdale, Phoenix, they want it, but that's resonating extraordinarily well for us and for our market.
Great answers. And I think you touched on something that everyone in the audience needs to think about, and that's innovation as the market shifts. I don't know if anyone has read the news, but interest rates have gone up. You probably didn't notice. So, this will lead to a shift in our industry. There are going to be things that are different. And I'm trying to console some agents and some buyers. And I haven't been in real estate as long as Dave or Tim, but I do know that the real estate is cyclical and things are going to change over time. And this is not the end of the world because we've gone through this in so many different ways over so many decades. This is just yet another bump in the road, and we will have another bump in the road in 2 years that we didn't fully anticipate either. But you need to be able to prepare yourself for a shift, and you need to be able to have some ideas in your pocket that will keep your business going. And when he talks about HomeLight, I'm somewhat familiar with that program. I'm familiar with some other similar programs that simulate cash buyers, which is absolutely necessary in so many markets. So make sure you're not putting all your eggs in one basket with one lender, one bank, one program. Look into all these different things. And one point you can all take from this is that we have some individual agents up here that are icons. We have some team leaders that are icons. And there is a place for so much of what we're talking about for each and every one of you. Start small. Start with an ISA. Start with a virtual assistant or a part-time assistant, and start building those systems. You don't have to be afraid to do that stuff as an individual agent. It will improve your business. So I hope you guys are taking some of that stuff away from this. I'm going to cherry pick off our list here. They give us a list of questions we're supposed to read off. And since I wasn't the moderator, I didn't really study the list, guys. So I want to ask you guys this. Where do you invest in yourself and your education and coaching? We'll start with Tim.
I'm always listening to new things in the morning, podcasts, exploring new people, trying to keep my mind right. I've had coaches over the years, and they've tremendously helped me with mindset and growing. I don't know that you need to stick with one forever, but you can use one for a year, and maybe you can trade or not have one for a little bit, then get another one. I'm presently focusing on learning more about multifamily residences. I've bought into some apartment buildings, and I'm looking to expand that so I can have passive income and grow that so that someday I don't have to work as hard. I just have the money showing up in my mailbox. So those are the things I'm concentrating on.
Whoops, I was muted. Great stuff. How about you, Dave?
It's a great topic. I actually think it's probably the most important topic because I think it'll solve a lot of problems. And, I think Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, is a fantastic book. I have a lot of respect for him. I was never KW, but I have a lot of respect for him. So that's probably the advice I would give to younger agents is figure out how you're going to be mentored, coached, and do your education. And, I took my career, like I said, from a solo agent doing about 60 units to my team size here, where I do about 200 units this year. It really is in the coaching education. That's what I would attribute it to. I've only learned about these things because I'm in the right room. I just find myself in the right room, but I do that intentionally. So I have a personal coach that I've had for 3 years now. And we meet 40 times a year via phone. I've actually never met him. He's out in Florida. But he is critical for helping me see myself and my business and interrogating my reality and keeping me in check. And then I'm part of a mastermind across the country. And it's $30,000. And we meet 4 times a year. And these are big teams. I'm probably one of the smaller producers in there. The leader sells 1,300 homes a year. And to get in those rooms with people, it just changes your mindset. It changes your thinking. It changes what you think is possible about you and about the world we're in and what we can really do. And then it accelerates your growth because you're going to be able to piggyback off of what people are doing and not try to reinvent the wheel. I think we all want to try to reinvent the wheel, and we shouldn't. We should just rip off everything that we hear. If somebody's doing something right, call them and rip it off. And I'm bold in that area where I started coaching with them. I was at Zillow, and somebody gave a talk, and I just grabbed them. I said, I want to talk to you. And we became friends, and that led to me joining that mastermind. And just, I think you'll find people that are generous and want to give, and let them give, but try to be in as many rooms as possible with bigger thinkers and stay committed to that. And that's something I'll always stay committed to, is just being around people who are where I want to be.
That's great. And I want to touch on that too. Surround yourselves with people that lift you up. You are who you surround yourself with. If you're with the negative Nancys, if you're with only brand new agents, as I mentioned, 85% of those people probably won't be here in a year. Surround yourself with some people that are successful. Maybe they've got an extra year or two on you. Go to your local meetups. Go to your local real estate happy hours. Make sure you're going to at least one real estate event a year that is EXP. And I recommend you go to one that isn't EXP. Inman puts on a great conference. So take advantage of this stuff. See what other people are doing. Also, they're great agent attraction events as well. And just surround yourself by other realtors. And then another really important part is surround yourself by people that aren't realtors so that you are grounded, because we end up becoming very transactional people when we're real estate agents. Make sure you've got some good friends, some people that you can go out with and not even have a single discussion about real estate. It's hard to fathom some days because that's all we do. But I think it's really important to stay grounded. So,
Chuck, can I add something else?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I've trained a lot of agents over the years. Coached them. I've helped agents go to higher productions. But just to give you an idea, what we're talking about, the the agent that works for me now who speaks Chinese, she came on board, brand new agent, never sold real estate in her life, never really been around it, had to learn the terminology and all that. I told her you cannot talk to the other agents. That's my first rule. Do not talk to any other agents. And I said, well, let me make an exception. If they sell 20 deals or more, you can, because your goal as a brand new agent has to be like doing 20 deals your first year. Otherwise, you can't work for me. So 20 deals first year is the goal. And if you talk to agents who are doing less, like 2 or 3 deals and negative Nancy's, you mentioned, people hanging around the coffee pot, that sort of thing, you're just not going to get there. So she did. I mean, first year, 19 deals. And then, the next couple of years have been bigger than that. But, you just need like you're saying, surround yourself with people that you want to be like. Take someone out to lunch. Find the top producer in your office and other offices and ask them if you can buy lunch for them and go out and pick their brain.
Yeah, don't be intimidated. And again, this company, I think, is unlike any other with the collaboration, the people who just want to help. That's why we do these icon panels. We just want to share what has gotten us to where we are. And it's all a little different. We're kind of near the end of the chat, and there's still a bunch of questions to ask. So I'm going to summarize it in a 30-second answer from each of you. Tim, what's your big why in real estate?
I think looking back through my life, I think the big why is lifestyle and passive income, so that work became easier over time. So that was my big why.
I love it. And thanks for a nice, concise answer that everyone could kind of put in a box. I like that. Dave, how about you? What's your big why?
Sure. So my mission statement, I think everybody should have one, is to relieve uncertainty and to maximize equity for both my agents and my clients. Like, that is what gets me fired up, when I can relieve the uncertainty for people and know I'm maximizing it. I don't home flip anymore because I felt bad about taking money from people, and I'm not here to knock on that, but my mission statement is to maximize that. But so from a business standpoint, like Simon Sinek, start with why. That's my why. I want my consumer to know that's what I'm all about. And then obviously with my children, my 5 kids and my wife, is to give them a life where I can be around and I'm not gone 24/7 trying to chase something. So I try to get in and get out and be very efficient so I can spend more time with them.
I love it. Both great whys. And I came from Keller Williams, and Gary Keller in his book, and the company is very big to say, it can't be money. But I'll be honest with you, for me, it's money. On the personal level, it's money. That's why I got into real estate. I come from a background of law enforcement and service, so I love being able to change lives. I love being different than many real estate agents in how we impact our clients. We also have a mission statement, and it's very client-centered. And again, touching on that, write a mission statement for yourself. Make sure that you honor that at all times. But my big why is really giving myself the opportunity to make enough money that I can live comfortably and still impact people's lives and make this world a little better than it was when I got here. So we have about 60 seconds. I have another appointment after this, so I can't stick around. But if you guys have some questions, feel free to jump them in the chat, and we'll see if we can get to them. Tim and Dave, if you want to put your contact information in the chat, if you have any social media, it sounds like both of you aren't massive social media people, but if you have social media stuff, dump it in there. You guys, it really impressed. You guys showed up for this, learn from the icons to make yourselves better. I think it's great you're all in this room, so give yourselves a hand. And thank you, everybody. Sorry, Soledad, it's not on YouTube. I don't know why they don't record these, but you have to be here to see it.
It should end up on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. If there should be, I can see if I can find the link for the past ones, but these do end up on YouTube usually within 4 or 5 days. At least that's been my experience on the prior ones.
That is great. No one ever told me that. I need to stop swearing so much.
Okay, that's
all right. You guys have been great. So yeah, I guess it's gonna be on YouTube. Thanks for asking the question, Soledad. I'll have to check it out as well. Oh, Dave. I'm so glad you're in this panel. You've been great in the chat, putting up all kinds of links. And guys, if you haven't seen all the books and references Dave is putting in the chat, jump in there. It's great. So thank you all.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chuck, for taking the lead. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Dave and Tim, was great being on stage with you guys. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the iConversation. There'll be another one. I think there's usually a couple a week. So same auditorium. We look forward to seeing you guys.
Great job, Chuck and Tim. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a great day. Feel free to find me and reach out. I'm happy to help on